Victor Wembanyama lost to Nikola Jokić again, but I am here to tell you, just disregard it, okay? Okay.
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to Locked On Spurs. My name is Matthew Tynan. Thank you, as always, for making us a part of your day. On the show, coming up, and by the way, Tyler is back. Tyler, the producer, is back. That's why you hear the music. That's why everything is running a little bit more smoothly, or at least we hope. But coming up on the show today, you know what? We forgot about a very important element in Spurs world in our Hot Seat series, and that is you, Jackals. After your first season on the job, supporting your favorite team, we got to put you on the hot seat. It's just how it goes. We're also going to get into some very early season predictions. Way too early, some might say. But first, Victor Wembanyama made his 2026 FIBA debut today in a friendly in Belgrade, I believe, in a friendly matchup with Serbia and Nikola Jokić. The French team lost to Serbia 90-87. Victor Wembanyama had 10 points, 4 rebounds, and 6 turnovers in about 24 minutes of play. Nikola Jokić, he just did what he always does and almost got a triple-double. Anyway, the point here, though, as we're all sort of looking forward to seeing what Victor Wembanyama looks like on the FIBA stage, now, whatever it is, 2 months or so removed from the end of the NBA Finals, what he looks like. We're all itching for some basketball. And I guess in name, this was basketball, but I told you at the top, disregard this. And here's why. That was about as the name friendly when it comes to games like these is so apt, because that's basically what it looked like. Just a friendly game of hoops. If you're looking for what sort of separates FIBA from the NBA is the more physical, more densely congested lanes, the physicality, the aggressive defense, obviously the rules around goaltending, yada. We all know that kind of stuff. But you're looking for something from Victor Wembanyama that you probably weren't going to get in a game environment like this. 10 points, 4 rebounds, 6 turnovers. Not great. If you were watching the game, I said I'm in FIFA. I'm in World Cup mode. I almost said match, although that's probably what they're calling it in FIBA is match. So game, match, whatever. If you were looking for something real to chew on, you probably weren't going to get it. You saw a lot of Victor in this one, not playing nearly as hard as he was in the NBA Finals, as you would imagine. You also saw some of the three-point shooting, the side steps, the step backs, things like that. You also saw a little bit of, I don't want to say excessive playmaking, but probably a little more playmaking than you're going to be looking for from him in an NBA game. And here is one of the reasons why. I don't know what it is about France, but ever since Tony Parker's days with Les Bleus, they just haven't had a great guard rotation with that national team. Nando De Colo, it was around for forever. Sure, there are some young guys in the NBA right now. Nolan Traore, Killian Hayes was supposed to be a guy, but the French guards, going back to the previous World Cups, going back to the Olympics, it is like literally the thing that separates them from truly being near the level of the United States. I'll say near the level just because there is no better basketball country in the world than the United States. But the one thing that is separating France from at least being close or closer is that guard rotation. And let me tell you something. They do have some guys that are not currently playing, like Bilal Koulibaly, Zachary Risache. But when Evan Fournier, that's right, Evan Fournier, is arguably your best shot creator from the wing, from the perimeter, you're not putting Victor Wembanyama in an advantageous position. You're not putting him in an environment that is conducive for a ton of offensive success when the defense can just surround him, especially in the international game. So I'm just going to say straight up, don't take too much from what you're watching here at FIBA, because at least in the qualifying matchups, because it might be a little bit ugly. I will say, though, from a creation perspective, from a playmaking perspective, I think that there is just, again, this is a friendly. There's not much to deduce from what we just watched today. But I think if there is one thing that we can sort of keep an eye on, because of how much the offense is going to rely on him to create, I think we might get an idea of what he's looking like as a facilitator, as a playmaker, certainly as somebody who can be utilized as a decoy to create for his teammates. I think that we will be able to pull some of that from the ashes of whatever this looks like. Again, they lost to Serbia by 3 points in a friendly. It's not like they were just out of the game, but in terms of what Victor Wembanyama was doing on the court, wasn't great. I did notice that the French team is definitely utilizing some of the sets that the Spurs have been utilizing to get Victor better looks, especially that sort of wide pin down that San Antonio would go to with him, where he'd line up in the corner. They'd send a guard over to screen for him to curl off into the paint, or at least to get to the free throw line. They are running some Spain action pick and roll, where Victor is setting the screen at the top for a guard, and then as he rolls, a fellow big man like a Rudy Gobert or a Maxime Reynaud is setting a back screen for him to get to the basket. They're looking for creative ways to get him open, because right now, offensively, he is about all that France has. This is a French team that is a lot better than the one that you saw today. By the way, this is Thursday, in case you are joining us a little bit late on a Friday or Saturday, whatever. This is Thursday. And this is sort of what you're going to be looking for from Victor in this FIBA qualifying stage. By the way, we didn't get to it on the show yesterday, but Victor was named the captain of Team France. And I'm almost positive, well, except with the exception of the guys who are out of action, I believe Risache is younger than Victor Wembanyama is. But the group that's out there right now, Victor Wembanyama is the youngest player on the team, I do believe, and he is their newest captain. So honestly, a big accomplishment in that capacity, a lot of responsibility coming from Victor, for Victor. Anyway, cool to watch. Cool to watch him just playing basketball again. I think that's kind of my biggest takeaway. Hey, he looks good. He looks healthy. Things are all well. All is good in the world when Victor Wembanyama is playing basketball. And he's got another friendly against Nikola Jokić here in a few days. And then it is Luka Doncic in Slovenia on the 27th to kick off the actual qualifying rounds for FIBA. All right, coming up next, I'm going to bring in Tyler, the producer, in a second, back from his trip away from his home, his place of business. I'm rambling. Okay, time to stop. Early season predictions coming up next.
The problem of finding clothes that you can live in all day, be comfortable, and do whatever you need to do, whether it's just chilling, going to meetings, playing golf, being on the move, that problem has been solved by Cozy Earth. The everyday polo is the answer. It's lightweight, built to move with you, just easy to wear everywhere. I've got it on right now, and it's fabulous. Plus, the Cozy Earth Essential Socks, they're exactly what the name suggests. Soft, supportive, comfortable enough that you stop thinking about them halfway through the day. Plus, Cozy Earth backs everything with a 10-year warranty and hassle-free returns. So if something isn't quite right, you're covered. That makes trying them for yourself an easy decision. I've got the Cozy Earth Everyday Polo in blue and in black. Check them out at CozyEarth.com. Use the code LOCKEDON for 20% off. That's right, Locked On for an exclusive 20% off. And if you see a post-purchase survey, please mention you heard about it right here, CozyEarth.com.
All right, we are back. And just a reminder, if you are enjoying the show, if you are enjoying the podcast, hit a like, give us 5 stars. Hey, by the way, audio only, please make sure you're auto-downloading these episodes. We would really appreciate it. And if you're new here, by all means, hit the subscribe button. Join in on the ride that's been going on for whatever it is now, like 5 months. We appreciate all the support that y'all have given us along the way. We would not be doing this if it weren't for all of you. That's how it works. All right, I am bringing in Tyler, the producer, for the first time in like 2 weeks. I think like 2 weeks.
Like that. Feels like
it is 2 weeks.
It is 2 weeks.
It is 2 weeks. Okay. Time flies. Time flies when you're having fun, right?
It does.
We've both been on vacation to a certain degree. So yes, time flies. Time flies when you're having fun. Good to see you. Glad you're back in the not the operating chair. That sounds like you're undergoing surgery.
I'm definitely not a doctor.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, you're doctoring up this program for us. Okay. All right, Tyler, you had a thought before we got rolling on this episode to do some early season predictions, early season schedule predictions. What did you have in mind?
What, for your money, you've taken a look at the schedule.
I have.
What do you think the Spurs record will be after the first quarter of the season? About 20 games.
20 games. All right. You know what? Let's run through this Let's run through this together. Here's one thing that I do believe, and I mentioned it on yesterday's show. I talked about how Oklahoma City, even after their deep, finals run, winning the title, they came into last season and they came in with their hair on fire. Yeah. Pretty easy schedule early on. Spurs have a pretty favorable schedule to start the year. It's kind of,
yes, they do.
Outside of like the difficult national television games, like you can't really ask for that much more than what they're getting. So we're going to go game by game in fast motion.
Game by game.
We're going to 20 games. It'll be easy. Oklahoma City at home in San Antonio. W. So 1-0. Go into Austin against a Houston team that is going to be incorporating some new pieces after 2 days rest after opening night. W. 2-0. Next night in Dallas. Kind of sneaky, but they're already like right up the road. They're going from Austin to Dallas. 3-0. Sacramento on the 27th after 2 days rest. 4-0. I think this is where they stumble. They go to Utah. In Utah, a team that I think is going to be actually surprisingly good. On the second night of a back-to-back at altitude in Utah, they're going to lose their first game, okay? So that's 4-1. Mm-hmm. They come back home after 2 days rest. Minnesota, a different, weird.
Yeah, no Naz Reid.
No Naz Reid.
That's a win.
No Julius Randle. Trying to figure everything out. That's a win. Okay, so that is 5-1 to end October. Then we get into November. Jazz back at home. Of course, they had just lost to the Jazz. This is a revenge game. Mm. They win 6-1. 2 nights later, at home against Dallas, another W, 7-1. They go to Sacramento, they win.
Their first cup game.
Oh yeah, is that the first cup game?
West Group C.
West Group C. Okay, all right. Okay. Cup games are important, so they're not gonna be taking Sacramento lightly on the road. So they will win that game. I forget. I've lost count. This might be on you to keep count. In Portland. The next night, that's not a cup game though, right? That's a Saturday night. Those are only on Friday nights. In Portland is going to be out for blood because the Spurs just dispatched of them. Victor Wembanyama was talking mess to them from the bench, saying it would have been a sweep if he wouldn't have gotten a concussion. They've kind of loaded up. Dame Lillard is back. John Moran is on the team. Going to be a rowdy, raucous environment in Portland, in a city that is hoping desperately that the Blazers will stay in town.
Jeremy Sohan, he's going to be the key.
Jeremy Sohan will be there. I think that'll be their second loss of the season.
Okay.
I think it'll be their second loss.
9-2 is where we're at.
That sounds about right. And then Phoenix, on the road in Phoenix. I think San Antonio will rebound, although Phoenix is going to be better this year. Phoenix will be better than this year. Heading to Chicago after that. That's another win. Chicago still on the come up. Will be adjusting to Tiago Splitter. Tiago Splitter is the new coach.
Yes, he is.
Who knows a few things about the Spurs. Okay.
I'm so
but
glad he didn't have to stay in Portland and take less money.
Yeah, no kidding. Mike Honori, he signed up for it, though. So that's another win. Billy Donovan knows how to deal with that group. Remember, Billy Donovan in San Antonio now. Golden State at home, a cup game, I do believe.
Yes, sir.
Okay, W. Revenge from the crazy Steph Curry cup game in San Antonio last year. Revenge from a whole year ago. That'll be a win. Back to Utah, taking them seriously. That's a W. Detroit.
13-2.
Okay. And so how many is that? What did you say?
We're at 13-2.
13-2. Okay.
By the way,
yeah.
glad that we're holding grudges from beginning of last season.
You're absolutely right. We are.
That's
Detroit at home in San Antonio. They will win that game because Detroit just the last season, even when they were at their best, they just clearly could not hang offensively with San Antonio when you have two great defensive teams.
And got better.
And the Spurs got their guy, Tobias Harris, in their uniform now. The Pistons, I don't know, they might have gotten a little bit better offensively, maybe a little more spacing, but that is arguable, to say the least.
Jalen Duren is still
hanging on out there.
Restricted free agent.
Yep. So a dicey situation in Detroit. I think that's a W at home for San Antonio. Clippers, they're probably going to stink. That's a W. New Orleans at home. By the way, these are all at home, so you got to give them the W's. Clippers, Pelicans, both W's. They go to Sacramento again. They're going to win again. They go to Portland again. They're going to win that one. No, that's not a cup night, is it?
Yeah.
Portland?
Mm-hmm.
On a Wednesday? Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Wednesday
Cup night.
9.
Cup night. This is, that's right. This is the day before Thanksgiving. That's right. Cup game. They're going to take that seriously. They're going to come back home, take care of business against LA in another cup game, I believe. Okay.
I think that's.
Is that 20?
18-2.
18-2.
Okay.
18-2. That's what it's going to be. They're going to be 18-2 after 20 games. I'm glad you stopped me there because the very next game is Boston at home. This is when the East is going to start getting. So after that final, not final cup game, obviously, but after that Lakers Cup game, that's when things are going to start getting a little bit more interesting, when the schedule is going to start to heat up a bit in December. Yeah, that'll be fun.
They play the Raptors twice. They'll play the Cavs. I'm not going to count the Bucks.
Yep.
Yeah. It's also the month of the Christmas game in Madison Square Garden, which is going to be a whole lot of fun.
It will be a lot of fun. They're not going to do that every single season, but I'm really glad that they set up Spurs Knicks in Madison Square Garden on Christmas. I've talked about this already on this show over the last week plus, but speaking with somebody else and not just myself, I really like that they're making Spurs Knicks a thing, because I think it actually is a thing. I know that even heading into the finals, like, there are plenty of Knicks fans out there who are like, we need revenge from 1999. Granted, that was the last time they were in the finals, but like, it was still on people's minds. And I think that even like from the very beginning, like Victor going into Madison Square Garden on Christmas a few years ago, or a couple of years ago, and dropping 40 plus, like, they kind of set the stage. And the fact that we got Spurs Knicks in both the Cup final and the NBA finals, like, it's a lot of fun. And I'm glad they're going to keep I know they didn't play on Christmas last year. That was Spurs Thunder. Also, fun matchup. But something about Spurs Knicks right now, to me is, and I'm not even talking about it from like a finals matchup perspective. I really enjoy Spurs Knicks just on its own a little bit more, I think, than Spurs Thunder. I don't know if it's a scarcity thing and the fact that, like, the Spurs and the Thunder played what?
Like
13
10 times?
They played 7 plus 5.
12.
So 12. I mean, they played
a lot of
12
times.
times last year.
That's
crazy.
Like 10% of their games.
I know. No kidding.
More.
All right. Coming up next, Jackals. It is your turn on the hot seat. Everybody's got to sit on it at some. Well, that sounds weird. Everybody's got to be on the hot seat at some point. It is now your turn. We'll get to that coming up next. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Baseball fans, if you think you know who's hitting a homer today, FanDuel is giving you a free chance to call your shot with Daily Dingers. It's easy to play. Just make your free pick for who you think will hit a home run in their game. If you're right, you'll receive a profit boost to use on your next bet for a chance at extra winnings. Best of all, you can make a free pick every day throughout the MLB season. Daily Dingers is another fun way to stay engaged with every day's games, whether you're following your favorite team or keeping an eye on matchups across the league. Every game has someone capable of going deep. Now you get the chance to make your prediction before first pitch. Look, I've used his name on here before, but Yordan Alvarez is in the middle of a triple crown chase. I think he's got AL MVP in the bag, but he needs homers to keep this triple crown dream alive. It's the first time I don't know it off the top of my head. I'm not tied super duper into baseball, but I know it's the first time in a very long time that anybody has a chance at the triple crown. Was the last one like Miguel Cabrera? I think maybe. Anyway, Yordan Alvarez, just roll with him. You've got a pretty good chance to get a home run with that guy anyway. So are you ready to play your game today? Join all the action at FanDuel.com. That's FanDuel.com to play Daily Dingers and make your free pick on who is hitting a homer. Play ball and swing for the fences on FanDuel, an official partner of the MLB. Alrighty, final segment time. And Tyler, hold on real quick. What were your thoughts on the Jackals as someone watching from afar? Maybe even let's go from a perspective of what were your thoughts at the beginning, and what were your thoughts as the season went on. What did you feel about their presence, their impact, so on and so forth?
Look, man, my family's been into sports, like big into sports my whole life, and we are definitely the loud ones at sports games. So
okay.
I was all for the Jackals. I think it's really cool that like Victor was a part of like starting them, that he's interacted with them, that those fans have gotten that experience. And I love to hear it sound like a soccer match in France in there during the games. I'm into it.
All right. Well, this is where I will sort of tell on myself and then honestly just ask forgiveness from the Jackals. At first, I thought that it's fun. It's cute. It's a cool thing. Like, Victor's really getting involved. He cares about this stuff. These fans get to have a really cool experience. Like, okay, cool. As the games are getting started and they're really the chants and the drums and the noises, the thing that, and maybe this is just me being a curmudgeonly sports writer, a member of the media, whatever, in my very cynical sort of way, at the very beginning, I'm like, I cannot imagine buying tickets to a basketball game and I'm sitting in front of that group and it's just drums in my ear all game long. And then the season continued and it continued and the chants grew and the fan involvement grew. And the cooperation and the coordination, and suddenly there are tifos and there are flags,
and they traveled and they went
and they started traveling
away
and like
games
that,
during the playoffs.
Yes, and I am here to ask forgiveness from any Jackal who may be listening. I thought that what at the beginning felt a little bit annoying, I'm just going to be honest. I'm a very welcoming person, okay, of all creeds and colors and faiths and everything like that. But I will admit, at the beginning, I was a little bit just like, I could do without it. I was wrong. Those games, it just felt different. Like the bigger they got and the more involved everybody got and the more coordinated everybody got, as I said, it just felt different in there. And it did have a soccer match vibe to it. And I think like that's what they were going for. And it works. It really works. And look, I'm not going to lie. I probably will never buy tickets to sit right in front of the Jackals. I don't know. Maybe it'll grow on me a little more, and maybe I'll go and see if I can do a story on them or something along the way.
That'd be fun.
Who knows? But I am here to ask for forgiveness. And since you are on this proverbial hot seat that isn't actually a hot seat, as you all know if you've been following along with this series throughout our off-season exploits, I think they did a great job. And I think that much as we've talked about with the players, just continuing on the trajectory that they're on and the growth pattern that they're on, and take this and continue it and that and continue it, and everything will be fine. I say the same thing to the Jackals. I say the same exact thing to the Jackals. I think that they, much like some of these young guys, they started to figure things out along the way too. That's kind of my assessment of the situation. Is that fair?
Absolutely.
You told me at the beginning when I said I was going to put the Jackals on the hot seat to be careful.
I sure
but
did.
But was that?
Yes.
I mean, that was acceptable?
I think that was fair.
And if you were a Jackal, would you accept my apology and grant forgiveness? That's the important part.
I don't know what the internal vibe of the Jackals is.
Okay. So you don't want to speak for them?
Couldn't tell you. I don't want to speak for a different group.
Okay.
It did make me think of something.
You're just being incredibly politically correct is what you're trying to tell me right now about a fan group.
It made me think about something we didn't get to in the second segment with the new arena. Kind of like how the Clippers have built like that big fan space into their arena. I hope the Spurs think about that when they're building the new one.
Yeah, by the way, we were going to get to some questions that Corey, who is part of our team, had posed us. We'll get to that tomorrow. We think they're good questions, so we don't want to let them go by the wayside. But we had too much fun just scrolling through the calendar, you know? Yeah. We got to, what was it, 18-2? You heard it here. You heard it here, folks. The Spurs will be 18-2. After their first 20 games. And the Jackals I will enter the season as a Jackal fan. That is where we are. Oh, and also, don't take too much from the Victor Wembanyama's 2026 FIBA debut. That about covers today's podcast. If you wanted the TLDR version, but we really hope you do listen. Thank you, by the way, for making Locked On Spurs your first listen. We cover the San Antonio Spurs every single day over here. Remember to subscribe and follow wherever you get podcasts so you get all the latest episodes. You can find me on Twitter at Matthew_Tynan, and you can find both of us, actually, and you will. It's been a little bit quiet lately over there, I know, but you can find both of us over at the Corporate Knowledge newsletter. That is MatthewTynan.substack.com. Tyler, where else can they find you?
I'm also on Substack writing about movie making at thevideoman.substack.com, and on Instagram at Tyler Prince Film, and running the Locked On Spurs account.
Yeah, give us a follow over on the Locked On Spurs Instagram account.
And over on Twitter and TikTok.
Oh, of course.
Wherever you want to get your clips.
We'll figure out TikTok one of these days. You gotta. This is something that is we need a Gen Zer to run our TikTok account or something. Probably. I don't know. I'm not sure. Anyway, if you're done with Spurs talk, head over to, and I know y'all are never done with Spurs talk, but if you want more basketball, head on over to Locked On NBA on YouTube or wherever you get podcasts. There is no offseason for those guys and gals. Stay up to date on everything in the league so you can always be the most informed fan. For Tyler Prince, my name is Matthew Tynan. We will talk to you tomorrow, but until then, here's Victor Wembanyama.
Appreciate y'all. See y'all. Never.